So Brandon explained it pretty well. Each candidate, you'll have 5 minutes. Amber's our timekeeper. She'll let you know, like, hey, time. You can finish your sentence, obviously, and then we'll move on to the next person. Homeowner question cards. Homeowners need to make sure that they've turned in a question card if they have a question. We won't be taking questions from the floor. And then on closing remarks, we'll give everyone about 3 or 4 minutes each. So with that being said, you drew number 1, Matthew.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Wadsworth. I've been in the community since 2018 and 2016. So since I've been in the community, we've seen a lot of things change. Has it been for the better? Not all the time. We've seen a lot of things start to decrease. And that's one of the things why I wanted to run for board, is because we've seen the increases keep going up on our dues. And yet, what are we getting for it? Where is our bang for our buck? I was in the Marines for 8 years. I currently work for the federal government. And I deal with I deal with grants and disasters. And it is my job to be accountable for those, whether it's millions of dollars or $5. It's very important to me that we're fiscally responsible in regards to how we do with the community and our dues, because that's our money. We need to ensure that our money is going for what we like and what we're paying for. Whether it's the nice community out here with all the sports going on, or if it's our stuff right there at home, making sure our lawn's looking nice. So I don't need 5 minutes to go ahead and introduce myself. I think that's a lot of time, but I do hope you take me into consideration, because I really do believe that I can make a change on the board and for the best interest for the community as a whole. Thank you.
Guys, can everybody hear me? I don't like microphones. So, hi, I'm Ivy Solis. I just want to introduce myself. I got the pleasure of speaking to Isabella Village, and they gave me 2 minutes, and I didn't know, and I ran out of time. So hopefully I can talk a little bit longer this time. I'm originally from New York. Please don't hold that against me. I went to college in Nevada, and then I moved to San Diego and met my wonderful husband who was serving in the military out there. We moved to LA, and we decided that we were going to have a family. And I was not going to raise my child in LA. And I decided that I was going to move to Texas because my best friend is from here, and this is where I want to raise my child. We looked and looked and looked for houses, and I finally met a realtor who said, hey, if you need anything, and handed me a business card, and it had a gorgeous, gorgeous house on the front that had a beautiful front porch. And I said, if you can find me a house like that, I'll move there. He said, well, as a matter of fact, I live in this community called Savannah. So he's my neighbor. He lives a block away from me. So we fought for a year to move here. I did some recon during COVID. I've been here for about 3.5 years now. And Savannah is our home. We're not going anywhere. We love it here. My little boy is thriving. I love my neighborhood. I love all of my neighbors, even the ones that are a little quirky, you know. But I want to be a positive influence in the community. I am vice president of the PTA, and I am part of the social committee, and I am constantly giving back to the neighborhood in any way that I possibly can. If anybody needs anything from a jump start to their car to for me to look over the budgets, I will. And to give you guys a little bit of background of what I do for a living, I'm the director of operations for a restaurant group that serves 5 different restaurants in Dallas. A couple of them you've probably seen on the tollway. And I also consult for restaurants all over DFW. So if anybody's in dire financial straits, if they lack infrastructure, if they have any issues with theft, or just hiring and firing, that's my job. I come in, I'm a fixer. I build their infrastructure, I set them up for success, build protocols for them so that even when I leave, they are strong and they can stand on their own without me. And so that's what I want to do here in Savannah. I want to be a positive change and help everyone and be a voice for everyone. I also want to represent the families, because I've noticed there's a huge lack of representation about families on the board here. And so I'm just hoping that I can be a voice for everyone, for every neighborhood, every village. No, thank you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Brenda Moss, and I moved to Savannah in December 2019. I found the community of Savannah while I was still actually living in Germany. And I found it, and I said, you know, this looks like a really cool place, just like I was saying. And coming back from Germany, I traveled for about 4 months, about 10,000 miles going across the country, from Florida out to California and back here. And finally got to come to Savannah, and I found my home. And I love my home. It was the 20th house I looked at and made an offer and closed in about 20 days. It was pretty cool. So I am a mom. I have 2 amazing sons. Both of them are serving or served in the military, one in Coast Guard and one is in the Army. I am also a Air Force veteran of 9 years. I have 3 amazing granddaughters who think they're all grown. And my experience has been in contracts, acquisitions, and contract management. These tools, I feel, will be valuable in working with vendors, with management, and with future finance committee. And I am active in my church. Sorry, I have to check my notes. I am active in my church. I've been active in the community. I have volunteered, although we get paid, just in case anybody's interested. I have volunteered to be an elections judge. That has been a very rewarding thing. It's tiring, but it's been rewarding. I've met so many people, a lot of them just even sitting here. So it's been an awesome thing, sorry. And I have been the Republican precinct chair in the past. I am enjoying my church. I really love it. I think you will find that I am fair, I am friendly, and I want to do the best for this community. And with that, I will pass it on.
Okay, howdy neighbors. I wrote a bunch of notes and I'm not going to follow them if that's okay with you guys. My name is Ron Akins. I moved here with my wife Kimberly about 4.5 years ago. I've lived in Plano, I've lived in McKinney. I was born and raised in El Paso, so I'm a West Texas boy. I am a native Texan. 1981, I started my own business in Texas. I was in the home improvement business. I started a home improvement business in Texas. In 1993, I started doing consulting for home improvement companies all across the nation. And my consulting role, I did help people do turnarounds on their companies. I've helped people that were not doing too well to bring their companies up. We took one company to the #2 rating in the qualified remodelers, #2 in all of the nation, so that's pretty cool. The reason I say all that, I got here to Savannah. We love Savannah. We came here and looked at it. My wife said, hey, we got to go look at this place called Savannah. We had moved out for a while away from Texas for a couple of years while I was doing consulting. And I said, and we both said, we don't know if we want it. That's in Georgia someplace, because we didn't know this was here. So we moved here. We love the community. We think it's a beautiful community. I'm interested in running for the board. I think I can use my business expertise when it comes to budgeting. I can use my business expertise when it comes to, hey gosh, if there's something wrong, I can help you turn it around. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing for several years. I've been asked a lot of questions since people found out that I'm running for the board. One of the questions is, are you going to cut our dues? Well, dues are very important for me because I live in Isabella. And I pay 2 dues. I pay Isabella dues and I pay Savannah dues. So it's very important to me, and yes, I am going to look out for the dues. Whether I can cut them every year or not, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to look at the budget and balance the budget and see what we can do and make sure that the community is kept up and kept beautiful, and everybody loves to live here, and we got more new people coming in. I want to see our housing prices go up too. So I think we can all accomplish that. I'm for a balanced budget. There's a lot of things that people ask me questions about that I gotta honestly tell you, until I get in and find out what's going on, if I say something, it'd probably be really dumb. You know, my wife says I do enough of that anyway, but anyway, so. But anyway, I wanted to tell you that. I've been asked other questions about things that have gone on and are going on in the board. And again, until I get in and find out things, I can't give you a good, honest answer for that, so I'm not gonna ad-lib the answer, if you don't mind. I'd be more than happy to talk to everybody. I hope I get to meet everybody in the community, actually. I will work with you. I've had people ask me about transparency. I'm all over that. As much as what I can, as much as we can, I will be more than happy to do that. I'll be more than happy to share with you. I'm not doing this for political reasons or anything else. I'm doing it for you and me because I have the same interest that you have to make this a better community and keep the community where it is now. This is a great place to live, guys. And so, and when I say guys, it's for the ladies too. That's a West Texas thing, so forgive me. You know, I think we can do a lot here, and I think it can be awesome. We just have to keep everything in line, and that's one of the things that I do when I go into companies that are not doing too well. I help them get everything in line and overcome things. Does that make sense? So that's what I want. I want to help. That's what this is all about, and I want to keep it going. So I appreciate everybody, and again, I'm open for questions or anything. Call me. I do answer my phone. So let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, my name is Tracy All. I've been on the board of directors for 2 years already. I've been through the good and the bad, the good management company and the bad management company. I've seen the budgets go up. I've seen them go down. I'm very experienced as far as volunteering with the communities here, outside, Habitat for Humanity, American Red Cross Association. My heart is in giving. My life is very enriched, I would say, with my husband of 20 years, and I'm raising my 2 granddaughters that I've had for 9 years. I don't take the job as a board director lightly. It is a full-time job, and that I happily do. As far as my goals for this community, my goals of this community are to improve what we have, like the clubhouse and the projects we haven't been able to do, just due to funding and the lack of budget. This last budget we passed, it was not an easy decision to make. The previous budget was only 2.83%, but that wasn't enough to cover the incidentals. So we had to realistically go 5% to make sure that we could cover the fixes and try to take care of some of these projects that we have on our list. I can't stress to you enough how much I do love this community, and I do care about what's happening. And I hope that you all take that to heart and think back up when you vote.
All right, so we're going to move on to the question portion. We'll start with Matthew for the first question, and we'll go around, and then the second question, we'll start with Ivy, and it just kind of goes down the line. So our first question comes from Anik, and it is, I see some people on social media complain about transparency, and after having attended the Coffee with the Board events and board meetings all year, I don't see the issue. Bearing in mind that all boards are limited in talking about a lot of matters due to legal or confidentiality reasons and constraints. Tell us how many of these 2 monthly events you have attended over the last 12 months and name something you would change or add to increase transparency, and if you were on the board, what did you do to increase transparency?
So, in regards to transparency, I think it's crucial that the homeowners know exactly what's going on with the board. One of the things that we've talked about previously is the fact that meeting minutes, we haven't seen meeting minutes in a while. And when we're asking for that information, it's for everybody that's out there to understand, hey, what's going on in these meetings? Isn't there an executive summary that should be going out as well? How do we know what's going on behind the scenes that can be provided? Obviously, there's going to be specific information that is withheld, whether it's specific residents within the community itself, and discussions that go along with fines and other posts. Sorry, I started throwing some Spanish out there. Thought I was talking to my wife for a second. But some other things, I said cosas, and other things that may not be able to be addressed in public. So with that being said, how are we being transparent? The perception is that we're not hearing the whole story to everything. And when you put light on things, you need to see that what is actually going on. When you feel like the information's being hidden from you, that's when people start getting upset. And that's when accusations go out. And that's when all the information that's going out is it true? Is it not true? Nobody knows because no one's shining the light on what's actually going on. In regards to volunteer work, going to some of these committees, I started with the infrastructure committee way back when it first started coming up. I haven't been associated with any of the committees as of late, and that's because I was doing some travel for work. In regards to that, I do a lot of work in regards to the infrastructure within my regular job duties. So I hope that putting some more transparency as a board of director member is one of the things that everybody looks at to the most as seeing, besides, looking at how the budget is. Why did we have to have an increase this year? There was 3 separate budgets that went out that were looked at. We didn't have any town hall meetings with it. When we did have the meeting about the 2025 budget, it was everything that happened in 2024. But why were we told that it was 2025 when it was all about 2024? I think that's the lack of communication and the lack of transparency that we're seeing within the community. And I want to change that. Everybody should be involved in regards to this community. When it comes to the budget, we've talked about having a finance committee. Every one of us agree with it. We've talked about actually doing town halls, discussing some of these things. There's some things that go out there in the community or on social media that say, well, if you want to cut dues and make sure we don't have stuff, we'll just start taking away from specific events. Well, that's in the Proud Fund. Can't do that. You can adjust, but you can't just straight up take away money. There's a specific percentage of money that goes into the Proud Fund that's mandated by our CCNRs. So we can't sit there and fearmonger with one thing and then expect others not to do the same thing. It's about communication. Thank you.
To answer the specific question, as far as board meetings, I've probably been to about 6 in the past 12 months. Coffee with the board, I'm gonna be honest, I don't drink coffee. I have not been to any of them. I do come to the social committee meetings. I'm a dedicated member of that. I try to give back in any way that I can. As far as transparency, I'm a highly accessible individual in this community. I am an admin on the moms group it's a private group just for moms in Savannah. I'm an admin for that, and there's about, I think 1,100 of us on there. Like I said, am the vice president of the Savannah Elementary PTA. I'm president-elect, so I'll be the president this next year. And I throw a giant party at my house for all the kiddos in the neighborhood who want to come. I usually cap it around 150 to 175. So I believe in transparency. Like I said, I'm highly accessible. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that they can not only come to me, but I'm going to make it a priority, just because the only reason I'm running is because I have questions just like everybody else does. I see all the crazy stuff on social media. I come to the meetings and I hear a different story here. And so I really just want to buckle down and see what is really going on and give that information to my fellow homeowners so that you guys can be on the same page as me. I don't ever want to be on a different page. And I understand there's certain things that we can't share because, confidential information, but please understand, I will find the way to get all of the information to you, even if it's me posting the minutes myself on, sending them out to the emails, letting everybody know, hey, just so you guys know, the emails are sent out. If you're not signed up, give me your email. I'll sign you up personally. I will do whatever it is that I can to make sure that everybody has the information that they need and the questions answered in a timely fashion.
Excuse me. That was so many questions, Anik, I don't even know where to start. So bottom line is agreeing with these folks that transparency is very important. We need to make sure that we continue to have meetings like this. Maybe not as far as board elections, but between the coffee with the board, the HOA board meetings, town halls, just to make sure that everybody's on board. We are getting information from the HOA board members as well as management. I believe that we must work together and come together and bring this information to the homeowners. Coffee with the Board was really a great idea to start with, and allowing communication with residents within the HOA guidelines. Everything could be talked about, and that was fine. If it wasn't allowed to be talked about, then they cut that off. And previously without management involvement as well. So it was really a very open and format without feeling like management was hovering over us. The 2025 budget, I definitely feel was seriously mishandled. Information that should have been provided according to Texas property code was denied to residents. If elected, I will work to provide as much transparency within guidelines. I believe it is also apparent to many that Green Manor seems to have pulled a sway over the current board, which is flipping roles. Boards have been with limited experience, and that's understandable. They tend to lean on the management for guidelines, again, very much understandable. However, it's the board's responsibility, first to represent the homeowners, and second, to make sure to hold management accountable. If elected, I am committed to familiarize myself with board member responsibilities, anything with the CCNRs, Robert's rules, etc., get that knowledge and provide a greater board influence. I can say, as far as attending activities here in Savannah, that I've been probably a good 6 HOA board meetings. I would say probably the same with regards to coffee with the boards. I have been involved in the past with safety committee as just a member, then as a chair and a co-chair. We worked with, excuse me, Elm Ridge Police Department, doing 4th of July parades, fireworks celebrations, the National Night Out, and just a whole bunch of stuff like that. So we have had a lot of, thank you. That's it.
Well, as I said a while ago, one of the first things I want to do, and I've heard a lot of things that have gone around, when I started attending back in October, I've attended every month, whatever the meeting has been, whether it's been coffee with the board, and I too, like, I don't drink coffee. It's all iced tea, it's still caffeine, I guess, does that count? So, but you know, I started attending, and I've learned a lot. It's been pointed out by asking some people who've been on the board before that I haven't learned enough yet. I need to learn more about Texas law and HOAs and what's going on, and I need to do that, and I am in the process of doing that as we speak. There are some things about transparency, and I understand that that's there, and as I said before, I will do everything we can to make the board as transparent as we possibly can within the laws and what we can do and what we can't do. So I believe in that. I believe you and myself as homeowners, we need to know that because it's our HOA. I like all of the activities that are going on here. I think we ought to keep the activities up for everybody. I understand there's some people who don't agree about some of the activities, and I will tell you now, mine is not to judge. To judge who does what and how they do it, that's on you, as long as we keep it within the community and everybody's having a good time, you know, God bless you. So that's the thing, I want to keep the community going. I am all for keeping the kids in the community. How kids grow up is very, very important to me, and should be to everybody, because my future depends on it. Everybody's future depends on it, you know. So that's very important to me too. Watching my daughter grow up and doing what she's done with education, with her master's in biology. I tell everybody she got her smarts from me, by the way. So, and they all look at me and laugh. Anyway, no, I think I can use my business background in helping the HOA and helping this community. Again, my goals are the same as yours. If we don't have to raise dues, I don't want to raise them. If there's a way around it, we'll do it. If there isn't, you know, we gotta look it in the face and we gotta do it. We gotta come up with some other ways, guys. And that's just the way I feel. So I've got a lot to learn. I've got to get in and talk to people about what's going on. You know, because I've heard so many different things. It's very difficult to answer some of those questions right now. But I will learn everything I can as fast as I can, and I will be as open as I possibly can with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, as far as attending events, coffee with the board and board meetings, I've missed 2 coffee with the board total since it started. Board meetings, I've missed none. I missed the 2 coffee with the boards, 1 due to hospitalization and 1 to a child event. As far as transparency, we're already working towards that with the hire of our communications manager. That's already been put in place, and we'll continue to improve. She's just getting wet and stepping into the pool. We are already working towards that transparency and what we can do to make sure clear communication goes out to you that's within the law. As far as the management company directing the board, the management company's not directing the board in the least. We don't let the management company decide which direction we're going or what we can and can't answer. We do look at them for what legally we can do. And like I said, we're a better community. Been here. I love the community. And I'll do everything I can to make it even more.
All right, so our next question, Ivy, you'll answer first. It is also from Monique. Tearing down is so much easier than building up, so I'm asking the candidates to name one thing specifically that they would cut from the budget or save money to keep the dues from being raised next year. And to the candidate already on the board, can she name something specific she cut from the budget or saved money?
Something that I would cut from the budget. Well, I was taking a look at some of the budgets, and it's relatively hard to decide without a little bit more information than was outlined in the budget to pick something specific. Like was mentioned before, I can't really go after any of the events because it's in the crowd fund. But one of the things that I have noticed that I really appreciate that's going on right now for information from the last board meeting is instead of outsourcing everything, we're doing it in-house on a lot of things now. In addition to that, I've been speaking to the lifestyle director and able to bring in some sponsors. I actually put them in touch with someone today to do sponsors for some of the events that might not be underneath the crowd fund. It might be something that's a pop-up event that we didn't budget for. Well, then let's just do it for free. So we can get a sponsor in here so it's not taking any kind of budget. It really resonated with me when they were talking about doing stuff in-house, because at restaurants that I run, that's something that, you know, the minute you start outsourcing, it looks great and dandy when they give you a nice little quote that beat everybody else's quote, and then all of a sudden, halfway into the project, we're looking at $100,000. So that would be something that I would monitor and make sure that I'm watching, because on things that we can do in-house with, you know, it's a lot more cost effective than outsourcing things out to people that are really just in it for the money.
I guess I'm just going to be the bad guy, because my point would be that when we hired on Grand Manor, their contract stated that they could do more with less, actually, as far as employees. And they have gone from what we had with FSR from about 7 when they left to 13 on hired right now with Grand Manor. I think that's a problem that needs to be looked at. I'm not saying that any of these positions aren't important and valuable to the community. I think that we were, quite honestly, bamboozled a little bit as a community. So I would like for that to be considered. in the future, if God forbid, we should ever have to find another management company, I think we can work this out. I really do. Again, this goes back to transparency, bottom line. What was the other part of that question, please?
Name one thing you specifically would cut from the budget or save money to keep the dues from being raised next year.
Thank you. Again, just like Ivy said, I don't have my hands in the cookie jar completely with the budget, so I'm not sure if I could say one thing right now. I think that all the family events, the fireworks, the parade, anything that involves us getting people out and socializing with our families is amazing. I wouldn't cut any of that. I think that's all wonderful activities. So short of looking in the budget and going from there, I can't say I would cut anything at this point.
Okay, I'll do the last thing first. As far as cutting from the budget, again, I have to get more involved in the budget than I am right now. Using my expertise business, I would look at the budget. I understand from what I saw of the budget and what I have seen in the budget, and there were some things maybe that could have been postponed. And last year, when the budget went up and the dues went up, there may have been some things that could have been postponed. And again, I'm saying may have because I've heard from different people about things that could and things that couldn't be. They weren't for specific reasons, which I am not privy to. And so if there are things so that we can cut, we got to look at the budget, folks. We got to balance the budget and say, hey, what does it look like this year? Because next year it may look completely different. We may have to do some things next year that have to be done. Maybe have some things this year that we could say, well, we really budgeted this. Maybe we can cut that. And by doing things like that, maybe when we can come out, maybe we don't have to have a dues increase. That would be cool. Again, I pay 2 dues, so I'm very interested in that. By the same token, you have to look at what needs to be done. And I would look at that and study about what has to be done and what's going on with it. As far as our people, the grant managers that have taken over here, again, I've talked to some people who like it, I've talked to some people who don't like it, and again, it's a matter of learning what's going on and what's really happening. I think from what I see overall, they do a pretty good job. But again, that's something you got to get into, and I agree. We got to get in. We got to work with them. We got to work with what's in the budget and watch our budget very closely and see that we can do, because we're all in this community together. We don't want to cut events. It's going to hurt people. We also don't want to spend a whole lot of money and only 13 or 14 people show up. This is a very large community, and to spend a lot of money for 10 or 12 or 15 people, that doesn't make sense to me. So again, we got to get in. I got to look at the budget, got to see where it's at, and I would be really looking at it very hard and make my voice known. And if you want to know what's going on, I'm more happy to tell you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start off also with cutting of the budget. What would I cut from the budget? Looking at these contracts we're currently under, with like site, doing the yard work, the grounds. That contract is extremely high, and we're currently locked into a price that we cannot do anything about right now without just cause. But that is something that we are definitely looking to change. We're not happy where we are, and we're definitely not happy with the cost. As far as less with more, we're using less vendors. The previous management company was bringing vendors to change light bulbs or paint a fence. We may have more staff. We have staff that cost less than bringing that vendor in to do these tasks. That is a big selling point. Why would you have a company come in and charge you $300 to change a light bulb? That's ridiculous. We are now, this staffing improvement we've had with the maintenance, everybody included, we are actually, yes, it looks like we're spending more money, the reason why that we're having the increased dues is over $500,000 for the people in the community who are not upholding their portion. No, not many. We're talking about people who live in this community who are not paying their dues, paying their fines, and living on our coattails. If they pay their part, we don't have to increase. But when they don't, we have to hire the attorneys and we have to go after them. Let's see what else here. During the current budget, we didn't raise any social committee budget. Their increases in now. They're doing the same or better with the same amount of money or less. Let's see. Like I said, as far as I'm transparent about the stuff, I answer where I can on what I can. Grand Manners, once again, we are operating at a full staff. Where with FSR, we operated with a half staff at best. And who called everybody and anybody to come change their light bulb, or spray an anthill, or paint a fence. That's where I stand. Thank you.
So when it comes to looking at the budget, and one of the things that I would cut is, I don't know if we would say that we can actually cut anything right now without actually doing a deep dive into what we're doing. Contracts have limit, or have expiration dates, so we need to go through those and identify what's best for our community. Last year when we had Meet the Candidates, I was the only candidate that stood up and said, we need to bring business back into our community. Why are we not relying on folks within our community to handle the maintenance, to handle the landscaping business, to handle the irrigation business? I know if I have an irrigation problem, I'm gonna reach out to someone within my community because at least the money stays there. So what we need to do is look at these contracts that may be overinflated from previous times, learn from our mistakes, and move forward by building business within our community. There's plenty of folks that are in our community that have businesses that are willing to work, and they may give us that neighborly price that we may be looking for, which will help bring the cost down. Now, in regards to the $500,000 in dues that haven't been paid, we shouldn't be relying on those dues right there and saying, you know what, since they ain't paying, we're gonna raise everybody else's dues. It's planning ahead for it. You know, we have lawyers that are sending out information and sending out certified documents to everybody. That costs money too. So we need to figure out a way to ensure that we're getting the money coming in from some of the folks that aren't, you know, paying their dues on time, and putting a plan together. And, you know, how do we fix that? Maybe the solution isn't just sending certified letters that cost money every time we send it out. Maybe there's another solution to it. So we have to look into that. Those are some of the costs that I would look at first coming in. But again, it's getting down into the budget, understanding the budget, looking into some of the back information that we're not privy to. That's the information that we need to be able to make those good choices. Just saying one specific thing and trying to cut it out right on the bat, I mean, it's kind of setting yourself up for failure by saying one specific thing. I would say let's look at these contracts, let's see what we can do within our community itself. And actually, one of the things that we heard the other day when we had the board meeting was, in-house we were talking about doing camera systems. And that's gonna save us a lot of money. And I was all about that. Sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is a great presentation that was put on by an employee of Grand Manners, and it's gonna save the community a lot of money. We don't take that money that we're saving and adding it to something else. We take that money that we're saving and we're investing it back in the community. Not by just moving it around so we can spend more money on different contracts and different things that we may not need. But we do it as a community, not as one single source. Thank you.
All right, so our next question comes from Heidi Cox, and this will be Brenda, you'll answer first. If elected, would you support Grand Manners to pay overtime to employees to host events?
Actually, no, I would not. And the reason why is if they are on salary, and let's say we had an event on Saturday, let them take Friday off so that they can be here on Saturday, taking that time, using those 40 hours for the week. want to just reiterate real quick, I'm sorry, that first of all, I think that the social committee has done a fabulous job over this past year. It has exceeded or gone above and beyond what we have had in the past, to be honest with you. So I do want to say congrats to and hands out to the social committee for the teen committee. I don't have kids here, but they seem to enjoy the events. So that is it.
Again, with the overtime, I agree. Let's let them off if we're going to have if we know we're going to have a social event enough in advance, and it looks like we're going to have overtime. Let's give somebody a day off. Let's give them a day and a half off. Let's give them 2 days off, whatever it takes to do it. And in some cases, you can do that every time. I would agree. In some cases, you may not be able to do that. Do I want to have overtime? Absolutely not. I don't want to have anything else on the budget that we need to have. Is it going to happen sometimes? It may happen sometimes, but try to cut wherever we can. I want to make it as efficient as I possibly can, and help the board make it as efficient as we can for all of us. Again, we're all in this together, and that's the way we need to look at this. And we need to get into it and say, hey, can we cut this? Do we have to have it like this? And what can we do to go around there? So there's a lot of things to go around. Being in companies that don't understand why their business is down, and going in and starting to look at things and finding things that sometimes people are too close to it and they don't even know what's happening. And you got to be blunt, and you got to say, hey guys, we can't do this anymore. And that's where we need. That's where we need to be, and that's what needs to happen. We just got to be. We got to look at our budget and say, hey, we can't do this. So that's the way it's got to happen, in my opinion.
Okay, the question of overtime. Since we've full staff, we have not been using overtime. The staff are given days off, time off, so there is no overtime being used. That's the miracle of being fully staffed, is you don't have to find service lacking without the resources. So with that being said, that's a non-issue. Thank you very much.
So when I came to coffee with the board, that's one of the questions that I actually asked to the board is, do we have salary and hourly employees with Grand Manners? And obviously it would be both. And some of these events, there were concerns that overtime was being paid. My next question was, who approves that? Is Grand Manners approving it by themselves, or are they going to the board, and then the board would then approve it? So they stated to me that we do try to give people time off so they can then go to these specific events and no overtime would be cost. But I also asked, is it in the budget? Are we budgeting overtime into our budget? And it is yes, we are budgeting overtime. So by the end of the year, we should be under in all cases. We hope to be under budget coming towards the end of the year, because we shouldn't be utilizing overtime unless necessary. I understand things happen, but in logistics, proper planning prevents poor performance. So we need to perform in a way and prepare for it. If we're not prepared for it, we're going to be having exuberant costs coming out of nowhere. And that's not what we need as a community. Community, we need outreach. We need to ensure that all the villages, they want village ambassadors for infrastructure and other types of committees. That's a great approach. But we need more involvement within our community, and I think that's the best approach to it. If we have volunteers to go out there and help, we won't have any issue with overtime either. Thank you.
So hearing from everybody, it's good to know that we're not going into overtime, because I wasn't privy to that information before a few minutes ago. From a restaurant or just operations standpoint, if we were going to overtime, just hypothetically speaking, I would take a good look at the actual physical hours, and maybe some of those employees, it's now time for them to go on salary. so that we can utilize them a little bit more in longer hours and not have to worry about overtime. Also hearing that we've budgeted for overtime, that's fiscally responsible to budget for overtime. And if we don't use it, that would be something that I would definitely keep my eye on to make sure that we do have that surplus on at the end of the year and it wasn't allocated to something else. That would be very important to checks and balances. I sit on a board of a 501(c), and that's the same thing. Just because we're over or under our budget doesn't mean that we can take that and put it somewhere else. You need a board approval, you need votes, all those things. We don't just move things around willy-nilly. So that would be something that I would take a really close look at, especially considering I deal with so many employees.
All right, so our next question comes from Suzanne Alexander, and you'll answer first. What is your experience with budgets? Specifically, do you believe 0% budget is achievable? If one was presented to you by a fellow board member, would you actually open the email, read it, discuss it, and consider it? Or would you tell us, residents, months in advance that we are going to have an increase, then make it happen no matter what? Yes, sir.
Okay. That's a good question. Again, it comes with looking at the budget and knowing what's there and what to do with it. Give me the first part of that question again. Yeah, that's a long one.
What is your experience with budget?
Okay. My experience with budgets is, first of all, you got to go in and look at them. You got to look at what they're doing, why it's happening, who authorized the budget, why do we need this certain thing. I mean, you've got to go through all of those steps to get the budget back in the shape it's needed. Then you got to look at your expenses and how much money you got. How much money you got coming in. And once you see how much money is coming in, then you can figure out what you can and cannot do. You just got to keep your eye on the budget. And again, like Ivy said, you've got some money here, and if it comes in and you got a little bit of a surplus, that doesn't mean you can just go out and do it. Let's keep that surplus. You want to keep dues down? Let's keep the surplus, because those dues affects everybody. The budget affects everybody. You have to really look at the budget and keep an eye on the budget all day long. I know everybody should say, well, yeah, that's pretty much common sense, Ron, but it really is. You'll be surprised how many people don't do that, how many companies don't do that, and then they wonder, well, gosh, how did I get in this mess? Well, we weren't looking at something else. You know, the $500,000 we got with people not paying dues. Come on, really? When did we notice that? How long have we noticed that? And what are we doing about it? You know, they're telling us now, okay, we've done a lot with that, but that affects us. That's affecting our budget. That's affecting what we can do and what we can't do. Just think if we had that 500,000. Okay, think about it first. So look at that. Let's look at that. And maybe there was a reason. Maybe there was something going on, but we got to get and find out why. And we just got to watch it. And again, watching the budget and knowing what's going on. That's what my first priority is, to learn what the heck's going on and what's been going on, so I can have an insight into the budget that I haven't been given to this point in time.
I guess the first part of the question would be is, what is my experience with budgets? And being on the board, I've been through 2 budget discussions and voting into different budgets. Just to give you an insight, as far as the research done into the budgets, I have here in front of me, basically tells you how much the budget increase has been for the previous 4 years. In 2022, our budget increased by 11.76%. 2023 was 8.73%. 2024 was kept down to 2.61%. And 2025, we did 5%. That 5% averages $4.42 a month. As far as I want to break down even further, my tenure on the board with the budget increases, it has been a total of $80 per year. That is $30, 30 some odd dollars 1 month, 1 year. This most recent was a little over 50. While Scott Bolick was on the board, his 3-year term increased $183. That was $61 per year averaged out. When Brandon Story, our director over at Elmridge, $210 increases in over a 4-year period. That averaged to 52.50 cents per year. Our director Steve Bolick, who was on here, $183 a month, a year. That's $91.50. David McCord, he averaged $210 was his total. He averaged $70 per year. Now, I can say you're looking at us saying we're raising all these dues, but there's a record behind us that shows a heck of a lot more money being spent, not putting where it needed to be, such as paying for vendors to put light bulbs in and paint a fence. My record stands behind it, and I proudly stand behind the decision I made. As far as, would I promise that there will be no dues increases? I can't do that, because I don't know if the pool's gonna sink in the middle and become a huge sinkhole. You can't promise those things, and you can't budget for it. You have to have the money back for those emergencies. So I will never promise no increase, and I will never approve a 0% increase. Thank you very much.
So you'll never approve a 0% increase?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure I heard that. 'Cause I don't think anybody heard that. So here's the problem that we have with the budgets. Every single year, we have a massive increase. While you say it's only $30, it's $30 to somebody. And I understand that. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We need a different result. We've raised dues every single year. I don't think anybody up here, you're gonna pin down and say, nope, 0%. Not one person's gonna do it. But if there's an option there, we're gonna look at it. And that's how you should do it as a board. Nonpartisan, looking at it fiscally, does it make sense? There was one budget this year by one board member that was 0%. It wasn't even really considered. So where is our money going? Why is it going? Why wasn't the one board member who had a 0% budget not her? Where did the additional cost go? Why did we need to go to 5%? Was it because the previous company that was here managing us kind of left all the maintenance and everything go, kind of let it go? Sure, I understand that. But what do? We prioritize. We make a plan going forward. We look at the issues and we say, this is the most significant for the community right now, and we address it. Can we push some stuff back? Yes. We're not pushing out the vendors anymore. We have an inside maintenance company right here within Grand Manors. What can we do with those folks while they're working to say, hey, these are some of them smaller issues that maybe we can address while they're on the clock, instead of pushing the money out to some other vendor. So going and saying that we're gonna do 0%, is it possible? Absolutely, anything's possible, but you have to communicate about it. And if someone has a plan to put it at 0%, and the whole community would probably get behind it just to hear it. That's why these town halls are important. That's why coming together as a community is important, to discuss this. Not everybody has the answer for everything, but there's a lot of us in here that could come together and come up with an answer for something. Thank you.
I remember the first part of the question, but there was a lot just happening, so I wanted to make sure that I answered appropriately.
Yes.
I'm on CBS.
All right, so what is your experience with budget? Specifically, do you believe 0% budget is achievable? If one was presented to you by a fellow board member, would you actually open the email, read it, discuss it, and consider it? Or would you tell us residents months in advance that we are going to have an increase, then make it happen no matter what?
So my experience with budgets is, like I said before, I sit on the board of a 501(c), which is a nonprofit. We have to make all of our money or get it donated or have sponsors. So I have extensive amount of experience with budgeting, and we hope for surpluses every single year. In addition to that, I come into a lot of these restaurants that don't have any kind of budget at all. And so I have to sit down with them and explain to them that's why they're failing, is because they don't have a budget, they're not sticking to it. In addition to that, like everybody else in this neighborhood, I'm also a mom, so we all have to budget. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to join the board as well, because there are a lot of budget increases, and we have some single moms out there, some single dads out there. We've got people that are paying 2 dues, you know, things across the board that we really need to take a look at and make sure that the choices that we're making on the board, you know, while on paper, you know, oh yeah, hey, we have to do it. Like Matt was saying, we also have to take into account that this is where people live, and you know, we're dusing some people out of their homes. I opened my property taxes and about had a heart attack, so I completely understand that. So if somebody was to give me a budget with a possibility of a 0% increase, obviously we're gonna have to sit down and have a hard discussion about it. But if it's something that's viable, absolutely. And I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm giving them a budget increase ahead of time, because I don't know. I have absolutely no idea what we're gonna do, but I'm gonna fight to not have an increase. But like we said, we have to budget. Hopefully, I have been seeing through a few of the different board meetings, we are decreasing that amount that people owe. That $500,000 everybody was talking about at the end of the year, it was $600,000. So we are making efforts to recoup that money, and hopefully we can recoup a lot of it, and that will also factor into, you know, our budget increases or lack of increases. So, you know, there's those across the board, fingers crossed, nobody wants to do an increase. And I especially don't, because I have a family and everybody else does too. And we're all just trying to survive in this economy.
One more time, if you will.
What is your experience with budgets specifically? Do you believe 0% budget is achievable? If one was presented to you by a fellow board member, would you actually open the email, read it, discuss it, and consider it? Or would you tell us residents months in advance that we are going to have an increase, then make it happen no matter what?
It's a lot to pack in. If a 0% budget is presented to the board, not once but multiple times, and you sit in the meeting and you listen to one say 3%, and you hear ones per say, no, we can do it in 0%, and then you were told it's going to be done in 5%, and that's voted on, I'm sorry, but I have a problem with that. So this should have been resolved prior to coming to the meeting. It should have been addressed and resolved between the board members. I appreciate Tracy, first of all, you sitting over there like making all your answers to me. So everybody out here is the audience that you're supposed to be talking to. So I'm just saying that because I feel like I'm having eyeballs zooming in.
So just really quickly, you can get your time reclaimed, but this is where David would have come in and said, let's, again, everybody face forward. I don't want to sound like a principal or anything, but let's not devolve into that. Let's speak to the audience. They are the ones that are going to be voting. We're not voting, well, I mean, you'll have a vote, but you know, you're probably going to vote for yourself, but again, civil.
I stand by my comment. You guys are the audience.
And that's why I support it, right?
Me too. So, I think that I'm just forgetting the questions. There's so many here, and I'm not used to speaking in front of people anymore. Been retired since 2009, so I don't have the panache anymore. I apologize for that. I'm better at sitting down and one-on-one my experience back in acquisitions and management is that we went with the department that was needing the items. So again, in my military experience, supply would come with a requisition. We would put it out and we would negotiate it, put it out for bid. Then we would get the bids in, we would evaluate the bids, and then we would award it. We would award it not just necessarily on the lowest price, because the lowest price is not always the best price, let alone service. So we would then monitor that contract, making sure that they are fulfilling their contract, period. So I don't think that conversations should be had to saying something that maybe is not supposed to be part of conversations outside of the board, anything privy to the board. With that said, I think that we can still discuss as friends, hoping to get with others and say, hey, what does it sound like? Does this make sense?
All right, so our next question comes from Lisa Whittington, and Tracy, you're answering first. Foreclosures can be detrimental to the neighborhood. With 13 homes in foreclosure and a total of 41 homes with the attorney, would you support a dues increase?
Would I support a dues increase based upon the number of houses in foreclosure or that are past due? Unfortunately, we did have to pass an increase. Just because they were past due, but because the items around the community that need to be handled. The increase is only for the maintenance and the repair of the community, keeping up. Any of these past due monies are nothing but a bonus that's put in the system to be diverted to projects that have been put off for years or held on to. But unfortunately, everybody's expected to carry their weight. When you moved out here, you knew you had an HOA, you knew you had a due. And when you don't pay those, something suffers. It's not a situation of where we're going, okay, well, they're not paying, we're just not gonna do anything. And sadly enough, since Grant has come on, that's where we found all these dues that were not paid. Or Section 8C, where they were never properly annexed into the HOA. And we have to bring things into compliance. I wish there was a way around not doing it, but when the community's not paying their dues and things are aging and falling apart, that's sometimes the case. But if all this $500,000 people paid, I'd be happy. I would absolutely say no dues, period, next year, 100%. But there's too many what ifs and too many variables that we can't control, including the cost of insurance, electricity, water, and all else.
Sorry, I've been talking for 2 days straight while I was up doing a training up in Oklahoma. So in regards to the 14 houses that are in foreclosure and the multiple other houses that are going that direction, would I agree with a dues increase in result of that? Did I get the question correct? No, because it's called planning. We have to plan ahead for this stuff. And if we know that houses are going into foreclosure or they're getting to that point, we should already have that into an account. So looking at what we have out there currently, and it's gone from 600 down to 500, right, Ivy? That's what you were saying? So, hey, look, we agree. So it's going in the right direction. But do we have to have a dues increase specifically for 31 that are going that direction and then the 14 other? There's going to be some costs that are associated with that. Now, let's get creative. How do we recoup those costs? Or if the houses do get foreclosed on, is there money coming back from that after the sale? Let's get creative, let's plan ahead for it, and then let's look at how we can make this better without, singling out foreclosures and other things. They've already made their bed. They're already in that direction. Why are we making it worse by pointing them out and singling them out? We need to be a part of our community and a solution to it, and not adding to the division of it with singling out just those specific folks that are in hard times. Thank you.
I would have to agree agree that, so I think those are two different matters. I understand that we have, 40 on notice and 12 on foreclosure. So we would need some proper planning for things like that, especially if we see a trend year after year, so that we can kind of plan ahead. But at the same time, I'm not going to reserve my judgment on an increase or non-increase based on foreclosed homes. And I guess I'm the bad guy with that one, because that's kind of business at this point. So they probably have a lot of other things going on to be in foreclosure. I would definitely hope that before someone was going to go into foreclosure, especially if it was just because of the dues, that they would reach out to us so that we can work with them, and possibly set up a payment plan or whatever the case is ahead of time to try to make sure that, our homeowners, any kind of increase or just dues in general is not a hardship for them, because we do have regular maintenance around the neighborhood. We don't want our neighborhood to go downhill because we're worried about specific number of homes that may or may not be able to pay this. Like we said, proper planning needs to be the way. And then, like I said, additionally, maybe a little bit more community outreach so that we can try to get ahead of that before it happens and see what we can do, just as neighbors, to see if we can help with the dues, payment plans, things like that.
I should have written down as you were saying the questions. I apologize. I'm gonna have to ask again.
Foreclosures can be detrimental to the neighborhood. With 13 homes in foreclosure and a total of 41 homes with the attorney, would you support a dues increase?
That's a lot of information. I'm not sure I can quite honestly answer that right now. I wouldn't want to raise dues just because there are people out there that are struggling paying their bills. Like Ivy was saying, actually, is like if we can come together as a community and be more involved, volunteering, helping out with painting events, or cleaning out the lakes, or picking up trash. I think there's ways around we can do this without having to just increase dues. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I agree. There's ways around without having to increase dues. The first time you jump into something and say, hey, look, this is what we got, what's the easy solution? Well, let's increase dues. And that's gonna be it. I don't think we have to do that. Again, yes, we need to look for other ways that if we know that it's part of the budget, it's got to be in the budget. Hey, we know this is going to happen. We know what's happening. So let's plan around it. Let's understand what it is, and then come up with some ideas of what to do. What have other HOAs done in that situation? What have other successful HOAs done in that situation? Let's look at it. Let's ask around. I don't know all of the laws as far as HOAs and what we can and cannot do. So there's other ways around it, but just to blanket say, okay, we got this in, so let's raise dues. I'm not for that. I've got to study it a little bit and understand that's what's going on. And that's going to be, to me, again, paying 2 dues, that's got to be a last resort. So that's the way I would do that. Just investigate.
I'm back. So it's 7:14. We originally set on the agenda we were going to cut it off at 7:30 so they could do their last minute wrap up. We have options. We can lower the, a minute and a half or so going forward for the rest of the questions. I think we wouldn't have how many?
Like 14.
14 left. Yeah. We got, yeah. Or extend it. So, extend it, raise your hand. Lower the question time to a minute and a half. Lower the question, minute and a half. I'm asking. I'm not looking for a debate on it. I got like 4 hands for the second answer and maybe both. 10 for the. Both. So both. Yeah. We're going to extend it and. Okay. Okay. So a minute and a half is the new time, so you can reset, and that's what we'll do. I don't have
All right, This next one has 5 questions on it. So I'm gonna ask each question. I'm gonna ask the first question, you guys can answer, then I'll ask the second, and we'll go that way. I don't want anyone to feel like they've been silenced in this room.
Rapid fire, let's go.
All right. How many hours of time have you volunteered here in Savannah, and for which clubs, groups? If none,
Who asked these questions?
Hernandez. It just says Hernandez. How many hours of time have you volunteered here in Savannah, and for which clubs/groups? If none, why should we trust you to have time to give now?
So I have not gone on any specific club or committee besides the infrastructure committee when I first got here and started working with them, looking around basically because that's my background anyways. Why you should trust me is I'm an outsider looking in. While I am in the community, just because I don't go to one specific event and volunteer doesn't mean I'm not doing other work. I go out there with my daughter, she plays soccer, I volunteer as a coach. So I go out there, use the amenities here, and I coach and volunteer with that stuff. I also help out my wife when she does her classes. I volunteer doing work for her.
Thank you.
That was a minute and a half. Thank you.
No, that was me saying thank you.
Oh, my wife was saying thank you. I'm used to her yelling at me, telling me that's not good enough. So you can count on me going ahead and putting in the work because I'm dedicated to the community. While you don't always see it, I'm there to assist. We're going down.
Yeah.
I am a volunteer with the social committee. I have only been doing the social committee since December, and I've already put in quite a few hours just because I've been doing all the balloons and those type of things at all of the events that we've had recently. I'm volunteering. I'm not getting paid for that. Even all the things so that way we don't have to come out of the budget for paying somebody to do all those things. I took a class, so. I also volunteer for Savannah Elementary. Like I said, I'm the vice president, so pretty much right around this time of the year, me and the president are the only volunteers. So we're doing everything constantly. I've also volunteered for the finance committee, but we haven't done it yet, so there's no hours on that, but I am. I spoke to multiple people saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. So even if I don't get elected, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be at all of these events. I'm here with my child, or I'm volunteering, or I'm putting up balloons, or, I'm going to be on the finance committee because, like I said, regardless of if I get elected, I have questions.
I honestly can't give you an exact number of how many hours I have been over the last year.
It just says in total. So.
Yeah, I can't give you those total hours, my goodness. I've spent plenty of time, though, with the safety committee. I was on the committee for a good 2 years. I operated as a member, a co-chair, and a chair. So with that, I also volunteered and worked, again, with the 4th of July parade, helping the Homage Police. I would be a safety person, keeping people from going on the street as the parade's going down. I would be there to help with the fireworks show and just be there watching the crowd, making sure that everything is going good, helping out with however I could with different events or different committees that might be there. And I do want to get more involved again. I had some things go on where I could not be in this community as much as possible. I had some medical things that went on. So those are cleared up and done, and I can put myself more out there.
Have I volunteered for things and been on a committee in Savannah? No. I haven't done it. We've been here 4.5 years. I have not done that. Well, what makes you think, Ron, that you're going to be able to be on the board and do that without naming names and so on? I volunteered in Collin County with one organization for 20 years, non-paid, and a lot of late hours. Do I take it seriously? Absolutely. I've done that, and will do that here. If I didn't think I could do it, I wouldn't do it. So I have the experience to be in it, and I can do it, and that's my volunteer. If I can do other things, I'd be more than happy to, especially on a safety committee.
Let's see, most recent volunteering, I volunteer on the social and team committee, as well as I'm a volunteer for the Cheek Middle School Band. Most recent event I was the Christmas parade. It's the most recent thing here at the community. Previously, my last thing was at the middle school with the Cheek Band for a lock-in. Do I have a problem volunteering? I haven't. I've picked trash up around this community plenty of times with the infrastructure, but I also, as an individual, walk in the neighborhood, pick up the trash, throw it away. It's just, it's something to do. I care about the community and I want to clean up. And let's see. Can you trust me to do it? Yeah. I can trust that I will, and I will continue to.
All right, no, it's Matthew again.
Okay. There was 5 questions, so
Yeah.
each question we can start.
We can do that if you want to.
However you want to do it.
All right, Ivy, then it's you. And this is just.
Oh, the bad girls are out again.
This is just a yes or no only question. They were very specific, sorry. Are you a member of the Savannah Sentinels?
Yes, that's inappropriate.
They answered.
They answered already. It's on you.
It's your turn to answer.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
No, I am not.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
It's $5.
Yeah.
Hey, you better start tallying them for me. All right, Brenda, question number 3. How will you ensure that you are not encouraging division in the community or on this board? How will you ensure that every family who lives in Savannah feels like a welcome part of the community, especially families that do not look like your own?
Here we go. All right, let me first say, because I am and have been a member of Savannah Sentinels, that, make sure I'm on, yeah, that we have been more of a community organization, just trying to do things like what used to be called litter getters, that's transitioned into the infrastructure committee. And we used to have pop-ups with meeting neighbors and are just on the fly. I'm a Christian. I am a Christian. Do I have my own beliefs on things? Yes, absolutely, we all do. My desire is to come across and be the best person I can be as a Christian. God loves us. He expects us to love others. My personal opinions of somebody's lifestyle doesn't matter in the community, period. My personal political beliefs doesn't matter in the community. What matters is us making sure that as board members, that we are working for the community only. We have to take out the personal stuff and just keep the professional. Thank you.
Interesting. I don't have, what I do and what I am and where I've been, I don't judge other people. Don't judge me, I won't judge you. Hey, whatever you want to do, you're going to do, and I understand that. I've kind of been on both sides of the fence, growing up and going to school in El Paso, Texas. When you're in the school, I was a minority. Se habla español. And I've had a lot of other experiences that, I don't have a problem with it. Nobody should have a problem with me because you do what you do and you are who you are, and I respect that to the nth degree. We are what we are, and this job, this volunteer job, this board job is not political to me. It is about all of us, and I want it to be about all of us as one group and one community, and we should all come together and do that as one community.
Just to piggyback a bit on what Ron has said, yes, we are all one community, and we have all one goal, to raise our families in a nice community that we can call our own. As far as making everybody feel included, I was brought up, there is no color, there is no sex. You are all the same. You all bleed the same. No different color to it. And with me on the board, I don't place, okay, you're this religion, or you're that religion, or you're this political party, or otherwise. Politics doesn't play a game in this for me. This is about the betterment of the community and the inclusivity of the community.
Interesting question. So to answer the question directly, it was divisiveness, or not to create this divisiveness on the board, and then people that don't look like me. Is that where we're going?
Yes. How will you make sure every family feels included?
Why shouldn't any family not feel included? It's unfortunate that we have these times where we have to write questions like that to kind of strum up divisiveness. And it's very unfortunate that a question like that would come in. Everybody within this community should feel safe in this community. They should be welcomed into this community. And I don't see why we would have to ask questions like that. This is an apolitical position, which is the board. There is no reason why we need to go out there and assume that anybody has any other agenda in place unless it's put right in front of your face. And it's unfortunate that we have to do that. It is for the betterment of the community. There are no politics up here. This is an apolitical position. My wife's from Mexico. She immigrated here. We went through the citizenship process. So that means I have 2 children that are half Mexican and half American. I'm from upstate New York. I'm a transplant too. We're New Yorkers over here. That's why they put us 1 and 2. But you know, when we have questions like that and you keep bringing it up, that's when people think we're divisive. And that's when people think we're divided. We're not divided. We're more alike than everybody thinks we are. It's questions like that that are unfortunate that people kind of strum it up. And that's unfortunate. Thank you.
I have made it my mission in life, pretty much, since I had a beautiful little boy, to make sure that my home and myself is a safe space for him. So I mean, when I walk into the elementary school, I get Miss Ivy, or Glenn's mom, or PTA. That's my name, PTA. So I try to make sure that everybody knows that I'm a safe space. And that's not just for kids, that's for adults too. I'm a safe space across the board. And I also work on being the most objective person that I could possibly be, because I do realize, again, from New York, that I come from a completely different background than most people. And, you know, sometimes people don't understand, or people, you know, judge somebody by the way that they look, or whatever the case is. But I feel like if we all sit down and talk to each other and get to know the person, that's the key to everything. Because like we said, ultimately we're all the same. We're homeowners. We all spent the same, well, not the same amount of money, but we all spent money to be a homeowner here. And our homes don't see color. Our homes don't see, religion, politics. Our homes see taxes. We all deserve to be here. Every single one of us. Anybody that has purchased a home in this amazing community deserves to be here. And so I will sit down and speak to anybody that doesn't feel that they're being, treated fairly, and hopefully come to a solution for that. But I do agree with Matt as far as maybe we probably shouldn't try to make something devised that's not devised.
All right, so Ron, you have this question. How has Savannah changed in the time that you have lived here? How does that differ from the community you chose to buy into?
How has it changed? Actually, I've seen a lot of changes. You know, I run through the neighborhood in the mornings, and yes, I still run 3 miles. Not as fast as I used to, but I still can run 3 miles. I've run through the neighborhood. I've seen the neighborhood at one time. There were some houses painted funny colors, and then as I've gone through it, I think it was a very nice community when we moved here. We thought we were moving a little further out in the country than we did, and then the PGA came here. But I think the community has grown, and I think it is. I think it's looking better. Are there some places that we could help to improve things with things that are on the street and so on? But yeah, but it's. I feel very safe when I'm running through the community. My wife and I walk sometimes late in the evenings, and we love the community. Has it changed? I think it's. To me, it's changed for the better, only because I've become to know it better. So we're very happy here, and have no intent of going anywhere else. I think it's a lot better, and can't get even better.
What I think about the community since we first purchased out here into now. 6 years, I've seen it grow. I've seen things fixed and getting repaired. I have seen the people, the communities growing closer. I have neighbors that I can walk across the street and say, can I borrow an egg? Where I was from before, you couldn't do that. I love my community, I love my neighbors, and I love the people I encounter. I feel very safe walking outside no matter what day or, if it's day or night. I feel like I can walk around and do what I need to do. And there's no fear.
So what I've seen change in the community since I've lived here is there's a lot less home construction within the community, which is great. But we've also seen a little bit of the deterioration of our community when it comes to some of our common areas. Now, we've discussed earlier tonight how there's this big list of all the things that we need to get to maintenance-wise. And going forward, hopefully the maintenance crew that we have on the books right now can address some of that low-hanging fruit that we currently have there that can beautify our community and keep it up to the standards that we hope to have when we purchased into this community. My wife will kill me for saying this, but when we were driving over here, we moved from Little Elm to come up here to buy a home, and we were actually going to go to Union Park. And I said, hey, let's just stop in here. We can see this balloon from our old house from across the lake. And we went in there, and she was like, I really like this house. And I'm like, well, we're supposed to go sign paperwork for another house in Union Park. And she's like, nope, this is it. So she'll deny that to this day, but she was the one that said, hey, this is the place. And, you know, I had to go ahead and put that purchase in and make sure that we had a home for our family going forward. We've been here for a long time. My son's a senior in high school. My daughter's in 4th grade. We're in the community. We love this community. We want to see it grow. We want to see it maintain and exceed the standards that we have. What's the new addition that we're going to have besides a new Elm Ridge building? What's the new thing for the community that we're going to have going forward? Maybe we should redo some of these soccer fields that you twist your ankle on as a coach, and then the kids are like, you can't run no more, coach. Am I? Thank you.
So we've been here for about 3.5 years. I want to say I've seen change, but one of the things, the change that I've seen is also for the better. I kind of pride myself on being the change that I want to see. And so I've seen the neighborhood just grow. When somebody moves in, the whole block, now again, I'm on King George, so I can't speak for everybody, but the whole block comes out and just really embraces everyone. In the moms group that we're in, it's a beautiful thing to see when a mom is going through something or needs something, 17 people volunteer to go help them. And that's the kind of neighborhood that I live in, and that's why I want to be so involved, because I also want to continue to foster that. The changes that I've seen, that I want to say, the only negative change that I've seen is a lot of the grass is not growing on certain streets because of the shade. So that's something that is on my list to do, talk about different kinds of grass. But when we came here and stalked the neighborhood for about a year, we saw kids playing outside in the streets. You don't see that in other neighborhoods. You don't see kiddos outside actually playing, and then everybody's like, car, and they stop playing, and then they all run back in the street. I grew up like that, and I never thought that I was gonna see that again. I didn't see that in Las Vegas for sure. I darn sure didn't see it in California. And I moved here, even when I lived in Arlington, I didn't see it. I lived in a little bit of a older area in Arlington. And then I moved up here. I moved up here, and it's amazing. And so I'm excited to see what kind of changes we have going forward.
I have been here, I think, about 5 years now, and the biggest changes we've seen, or I've seen, is just the fact that the whole community is now built out, and I think it's a wonderful thing. I enjoy the community as well, pretty much like everybody has said. We have an awesome community. We can make it better, yes, just coming together and supporting each other. If you know you have a neighbor that's, maybe they can't get out and do their yard. Maybe we take a couple volunteers and we go to that house and we offer to take care of their yard work. Maybe we need to take somebody to a doctor's appointment. There's so many ways that we can support each other in this community. And I don't know what all changes necessarily need to be made right now. Like what Ivy was saying, we have the, our new PD coming in here. I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't match the Savannah aesthetics, if you will. But it's nice to have them here. I think that our community is safer with them here, and I really like that. Again, I agree with the whole kids being able to play in the streets and on the parking or in the playground. I think that's a beautiful thing. I got to do that. I was raised on the farm though, so we did that anyway.
All right, Tracy, what are your plans to protect property values, and have you consulted an expert?
That's definitely a question I haven't thought of. As far as to keep the property values up, which is obviously the first thing is rental caps in the neighborhood. We're currently at a 15% rental cap. I believe we're at 13 right now. As far as the new policies coming up in place, as far as the rentals themselves, per roof per year versus lease per lease. At that point, that'll help cut down a bit. We like the long-term lease. The homeowners will like long-term lease versus a short-term one-year lease. Also, I think at the same time, like I said, those rental caps are going to make a difference. Our own in-house security amenities monitor is running riffraff from the basketball courts, and she's there constantly camping out and running people off, asking for badges. The same thing with the gym. She's constantly going through there. She's watching the monitors. She's looking at who's coming in and out. All of these things are being done, and that's a step towards protecting our home values. As far as conferring with a specialist, I haven't, since I've only been here, I haven't really thought about speaking with a specialist.
So in regards to protecting the property owners and increased values, I would say that we have to rely on the rules and regulations. So I said before I was in the Marines, I did law enforcement while I was in the Marines for a bit of time, and also logistics. I have a background in organizational management with a master's degree in that. And if we have rules and regulations, I have to follow them every day with the Code of Federal Regulations, making sure that we're doing things the right way. And ensuring that we're doing things the right way in the community will help protect our homeowners and their property values. So is a fine the necessary approach for it at all times? Sometimes it may be, but we need to keep up with our maintenance within our community, and I think enforcing the rules fairly across the board is the best approach to do that. And I do like that we do have, not riffraff, but folks that are not supposed to be here in the community getting told, hey, you can't be in the community playing basketball or using our amenities if you don't have a pass, or specific friends that come with. I think that is a good thing. Is the right approach having a person sitting out there? No, we tried to play that game before where we had a vendor come in and they were driving around, and it really was a waste of money to do that. So we need to look at other approaches for that going forward. Thank you.
Okay, I don't think I've consulted with an expert per se. I did talk to a couple of realtors because I was curious what was driving home values, because we've seen some ups and downs in the last few years. And so I have spoken to a few. My main concern with Savannah is that we're, a 20-plus-year-old community. And it's gonna take some maintenance, and it's gonna make sure that we have to stay on top of these things. We have to get the fence painted, we have to replace the stone, we have to make sure that we are keeping up with the homeowners as well, and making sure that we make accommodations as the board, like something that I just talked about with the grass. Because there is a whole beautiful street right down from mine that when you walk down it, you feel like you're in a different neighborhood. And it's not because the houses, but it's because of the front yards. The front yards, there's no grass, none. And by telling all the homeowners that they have to resod, and a lot of them can't afford to do that, that's just kind of like, it's more expensive than raising dues. Maybe we could look into different options, but I mean, keeping beautiful yards is huge with selling a home. Making sure that all of the amenities are kept up is huge with selling a home. I mean, look around us, we've got Union Park, Winsong Ranch, all these new pop-ups everywhere. We have to compete, we have to make sure that we are keeping a cap on the renters and making sure that, because I mean, traditionally, I'd like to think I was a great renter, but traditionally not all renters take care of their stuff. So we do have to keep an eye on that as well.
I agree with that. I considered myself to be a good renter as well. And there are good renters out there, and there's also maybe not some good homeowners. I mean, it is what it is. It might depend on, again, a lifestyle, a situation with their health, their family situation. So there's all kinds of reasons, again, why something might not be the way we want it to be seen in the neighborhood. Again, agreeing that we have with the older area of our neighborhood, we do need to do something about the grass. It is kind of unsightly. And I don't think it's to be put on the homeowners. So as far as my side of the house, over here in Oglethorpe, I don't have any trees. My trees are just like this tall. So I'm also jealous of the old side that they have the taller trees. So it's kind of a kickback. I do believe that yes, we should probably, we do need to watch how many rentals are in here. I think overall it does bring down potentially our property values. Can I say that I've ever inquired, what was the? An expert. Yes, inquired with an expert on anything with regards to, no, I'm sorry, I never thought that far ahead. I've just been happy to be a homeowner. This is my 4th home I've purchased over the years, so I'm just happy to be here.
Okay, well, being in the home improvement business, as I run through the neighborhood, most of the homes I see are very well kept, and they look good. I agree with the grass thing, but that's because of the big trees that are there, and the grass, Bermuda grass isn't going to grow in the shade. Something needs to be done with that. I'd like to see us also do something with, so as the leaves fall, the leaves be taken out of some of the streets so they don't clog up the streets. I have talked to realtors, and that's as much of an expert as I've gotten to. The realtors are telling me basically the same thing. You know, it's most of the community is right on. We're doing very well. The other thing is they look at, hey, when can you get some of the things out of the street? And if we see that, I would like to see if there's a way that we could do something to have our maintenance people do it, if nothing else, and get some of the streets cleaned up. But I think overall, from what I've seen here and the areas that I run through, there's a few areas that we may have a problem. For the most part, I think everything looks pretty good. But there's got to be a way maybe we can discuss in the board that's going to help clean this up. And I think we can do that. Again, the rental properties, that is something that you have to watch out for, because you're always going to get that renter that goes in that really doesn't care. they're only going to be here for a short time. But that happens in most communities, unless it's completely outlawed. So it is what it is, and we are where we are. But let's keep the streets and sidewalks clean, and that's going to help. Thank you.
Becca, in the interest of time, can we go to someone else that's like 4 questions in on that same question?
We're done with that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, so it's back to you, Matt. This is from Grady Richardson. Grant Manners and this board have been very proactive in finding ways to save money. They have been transparent about all they do. Without saying be more transparent or look for ways to save, what is your plan for the HOA budget?
Plan for the HOA budget. I think we discussed this a little bit earlier in regards with going through and actually having transparent conversations with a finance team, a finance committee, and then having the town halls. It shouldn't be just the board saying, yep, this is what we see. We need input from the community. How does the community feel about transparency if they don't know what's going on? When we're not seeing the minutes and the emails that FSR used to send out after board meetings, or when you have a question asked to the board, they respond to you in writing in 72 hours via email, and everybody got to see it. We haven't been seeing that as of late, and that's where the transparency comes in. When we went to coffee with the board, I specifically talked to Brandon and Becca and said, communication is the problem within what we have right now. Because we're not communicating to the community, everybody feels that there's something there that may not be there. And you've got to deal with the frustration of the community because that's how they feel. The perception is there's something hidden. And you have to see that as a reality. Thank you.
My plan for the budget would be kind of what I spoke about earlier, where I delve deep into it and try to see where we can save money, and then make sure that the surpluses that we're creating are accounted for at the end of the year. That's something that I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we don't allocate that money somewhere else. That would be my plan for the budget for the most part. And in addition to trying to, you know, 2 heads are better than one, bring my ideas, which might be a little bit different than the current board or the current management company, and see if we can put our heads together, come up with even more ways to find money. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So yes, this is important because we have to have transparency, whether we say that word or not. Doing that is just with coming together again. I feel like I'm just repeating or can repeat what everybody else has said. Great answers. I think that all of us can come to the board, create a new board, and come up together in unity to make good decisions for this community. So that's my best answer right now.
Okay, I'm not used to sitting like this, so is it okay if I stand up for a minute? Need to stand up. I agree with what they said about that. What I would like to see is a community that we get more involvement from the community. Whether the board's got to send out more things and go out to more people, or we get to get our friends. And we talk to a lot of people. I'm sure y'all are talking to a lot of people that are out there and getting them to, hey, let's vote. We got a board election coming up. Let's vote. Let's also tell them to come to the meeting, because I would like to get as much input as possible before I'm on the, if I'm on the board and I say, hey, you know, this is what we think we ought to do. I would like to have as much input as possible so I know what the community wants to do. And I think, and that way the community is going to feel a better part of it. So let's get something going, board, that we can send out to the people, say, hey, come to the meeting. We're having this meeting. What, or at least how do you feel? Send us a note, you do something. Put it in an email. But I think I like the involvement as much as we possibly can, and that way we bring everybody together.
Okay, as far as, I'm gonna follow up with what Ron was saying about better community involvement. And we are currently looking at a revamp to the HOA website, which will have this information more interactive, easily updated, easier to find the information. Because the current site is hit or miss on finding items. And so I'm hoping for the revamp of the actual website to be able to pull those minutes up, be able to pull the board questions up off of. that's easily accessible, right at your fingertips, mobile friendly, and be able to get the information you're looking for. And like I said, bring more community involvement based upon the ability to find the information in one place.
All right, Ivy, this is from, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Your first name is Margaret, but not Margaret Sullivan. And they live on Hayden Lane. Name something positive that you have done to make Savannah a better place to live and how that'll help you be a better board member.
I was gonna say I have a list. Like I said, kind of my little thing that I'm really proud of is this will be my 4th annual Christmas party that I throw for kiddos in the neighborhood, but I'm also throwing it for the parents. So I invite everybody over to my house. I literally clean out my garage, I clean out the office, I clean out everything to make this big open space. We have indoor snowball fight upstairs for the kiddos. And it's really kind of an awesome place for parents and grandparents. Last year we got a lot of grandparents that were really fun that wanted to just come see the kiddos, and we had a reindeer, so there was that. But it was kind of a nice way because everybody wants to take their kiddo to go see something, but I met so many parents that I didn't know. I met so many grandparents that I didn't know. And it just made them feel, you know, I got a lot of feedback saying it just made them feel like they were part of the neighborhood that they hoped that they moved into. You know, and we have beautiful community events and we have all these things, but sometimes we don't have that opportunity to just sit down and talk with our neighbors and, you know, really chat. And so that's one of the things that I'm kind of proud of, that I'm trying to keep a tradition. Like I said, this year will be the 4th annual one that I'm doing for the kiddos, and we're also going to start collecting toys this year to give back to the Children's Hospital. We have enough people coming where we think that that's fair if somebody wants to bring an unwrapped toy, so that because we have Santa over and everything. So that's just a little something that I've done to make the community a little bit better, and I volunteer a lot of time across the board. So.
Again, great answers. I'm willing to be as involved as possible in the community, and I feel like being a good neighbor, taking care of bringing food over to a neighbor, or watching their kids. Like Friday, I'm going to be actually taking somebody down to dealing with cancer. They're having treatment. So it's just being involved with helping your neighbors, period. I'd like to do more of that. I want to, again, be a good neighbor just within my actual community. Having, again, like porch nights where you just put it out there, hey, come over, we're gonna have porch, I'm gonna have wine and cheese, just bring something or just come over so you can meet your neighbors. It was really a cool thing. I'd like to see it get started again. Thank you.
No.
Okay. As far as the community involvement, yes, I've been involved in community things with Halloween parties and so on. And the more things we can do like that, and Isabella, we have bocce and some other sporting things that go on that we can do. You know, after I run, I'd like to be at the pool and so forth. But getting more people together with more things going on and helping your neighbors out, I'm always watching out for the neighbors and helping them do things that need to be done around the house. If we see trash that's out or something, you know, picking it up and so on. And I think when the other people see you doing things like that they're going to get involved too. So as a board member especially, we need to be the leaders to do that and let the rest of the community know that we are involved, and they'll follow suit, I believe, to a certain extent anyway.
Name something positive that you've done to make Savannah a better place to live and how that will help you be a better board member.
Okay, as far as things I've done to make Savannah a better place, I believe the volunteerism with the teens, when many people don't want to be involved with teen events, say, I don't have teens, I don't like teens, but being there with them, advocating for them, spending the time with them, and trying to be a safe place that they can talk. They have a shoulder, they can talk. Somebody's here that listens. That's what I believe I've done for. It's also as far as community things I've done. Like I said, walked around, picked up trash. I've had my youngest even go as far as grabbing trash bags and walking the neighborhood picking it up by teaching by example. And that's, I believe that it's like a monkey see, monkey do thing sort of thing. If your neighbor sees you doing it, somebody else will too as well. The chances of them being involved in one way or the other, whether it's beautification of the community or just in
So not only previously volunteering over at Savannah Elementary while my daughter was going to school over there, but just being a good neighbor. You see something out in someone's yard or some trash that maybe the trash collectors go by and some trash flows away, you're picking it up. And like everybody kind of said up here is, you know, they see you doing that and then they want to go and do that. They see you doing it, they're going to want to do even more. And that's what we need to do is be involved in the community and kind of spread that out. Because we don't want to be just, all of us up here, I'm pretty sure that it's safe to say that none of us up here just want to do this just for us. We're trying to do this for the community as a whole because we want to be a better community going forward. Thank you.
All right, this one is for Brenda. First, this is from Keith, and I'm going to butcher your last name, Keith. Just Keith. If elected, will you commit to regularly attending the monthly Coffee with the Board events?
Absolutely. I think that is just an awesome opportunity for us residents to come and discuss not proprietary information that can't be discussed with the board, but yes, I think that'd be a wonderful thing to do. And I think it'd be beneficial as a board member, period.
As far as coming to or commit to being a coffee with the board, absolutely. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know the people that are out there, and I'm really a nice guy if you get to know me. So yeah, I want to spread the word, shake the hand, see what we're doing, see what we're doing right, see what we're doing wrong. I don't. There may be some feelings out there that somebody has that you could correct just by shaking their hand and tell them, no, that's not really the way I am, and they get to know you. But that's what I feel. Let's get to know as many people as we can. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity to just talk to people and not be the stuck-up board person that somebody may think I would be. So don't want to do that.
My attendance with the Coffee with the Board, absolutely. I love coffee. I drink coffee from the moment I get up till I go to bed at night. So most definitely, I like to be able to visit with the community, let the community know who I am and what I'm about. I don't sit here by the desk and say, you can't talk about this. I don't like to sit up there and just be looking at a binder for the board. I like to be approachable for everybody. And so, yes, most definitely, Coffee with the Board is something I'm always on board for.
Yes, I would commit to coming to Coffee with the Board. I came into Coffee with the Board last month and I was like 2 minutes late and the coffee was already gone. So I was super early for Coffee and the Board because I love coffee. Been drinking it all day. Now I'm all amped up. I'll be talking real fast because they cut us down to a minute and a half, so now I'm going to be speaking even faster. But yes, Coffee with the Board is very important to learn about the issues within the community, to address those issues. We need to expand it. Maybe it isn't Coffee with the Board here, maybe it's Coffee in the Village with the Board, and we go to different villages going forward and addressing concerns over there. Let's go to them if they're not going to come directly here. Let's open up that line of communication. And it's Coffee with the Board, not Coffee with the Board in grand manners. It should be Coffee with the Board. If any questions come up that can't be answered at the board, they should be written down, and then clarification can be sent out from Coffee with the Board. with a follow-up email. Follow up with transparency and communication. Thank you.
Yes, I 1,000% can commit to that. Though I was going to come to the one last month, and the only reason why I wasn't there was because it was my birthday. And my husband surprised me with brunch. So that was the only reason why I couldn't come, because my little boy had a tie on. So, but I'm on board also because I've gotten some feedback from the neighborhood too. I was asking them like, hey, why is there not, a lot more attendance at these kinds of things? At the board meetings, there's not a lot of attendance at Coffee with the Board. And it's because of the times. So I would very much agree that we should, look into other events with the boards as well so that we can get more participation from other people that maybe have a little bit of a different schedule so that we can get out there and really start talking to the people that matter.
All right, the next question comes from Maggie Hernandez, and I'll start with you, Ron. We have many events scheduled for this year, but we seem to have a problem getting volunteers from the community to help out with these events. What are your thoughts on how to get more people to volunteer? Secondly, if you cannot get enough volunteers to support an event, should the event be canceled?
Wow. What I think, again, this is a communication thing, since we have the chief information officer now, somebody that can help us. Hey, we send out a thing that says that we got these events going on, and this is where it is and what it is and what time it is. Let's put out something a couple of times around that, or 2 or 3 times around that, something that goes out, at least email, and if nothing else, to go out and by the homes or somewhere to tell people, hey, we need volunteers, we need volunteers, you might be surprised how many volunteers we get. I think there's got to be more communication with the community that, hey, we do need volunteers. I haven't seen anything too much like that. And just say, well, hey, if you come to the board meeting or if you come to Coffee with the Board, I'm telling you, we need volunteers, so volunteer. Let's get the whole community more involved in it. That's one of the things that I want to do anyway. Let's get the community more involved in everything we're doing at the board.
To stimulate the volunteerism in this community, obviously the new website, when it's developed, will help with that as far as communication. There are the flip books that are sent out that usually state there's volunteer opportunities. But also the volunteer opportunities for teens, for those in the higher things that need volunteer hours. Make it known there's available. We're hitting our pools, we're hitting the middle schools, we're hitting the high schools. And maybe we need to stretch that net further to get them involved with helping in the community.
So in ensuring that we have volunteers within the community, I would suggest that maybe the board consider the newly hired communications director also be the volunteer coordinator. I worked with a nonprofit previously, and we had a volunteer coordinator that was out there, and that's all they did was trying to find volunteers. Rumors spread like wildfire within a community, but our volunteers, we're not getting them in because we're not getting the information out, because there are rumors about things. Oh, that's over there, that's not fun. We have volunteer hours that we're looking at for teens. We should be promoting that within the community. We need to invest in our community, and getting the teens in there to do those volunteer hours could be something that we could do. Let them get some work experience and let them volunteer so they know what it is like to be within a community. But it's not just them, it's us as well. We gotta be involved in our community, and we have to spread the rumor of, it's great to be in this community. It's awesome to be a volunteer in this community. And that's what I look to do going forward. Thank you.
This is kind of where I shine. Volunteers, like I said, I'm vice president of the PTA, and volunteers are so without volunteers, we couldn't make anything happen. We put on whole carnivals with volunteers. And it comes down to relationships in the community. So I've been fostering a lot of relationships with fellow moms, dads, grandparents. I've also been going around to the different schools, not just Savannah Elementary, because a lot of those kiddos are too young to volunteer. So I've been talking to Cheek and Navo, Braswell, so that we could get volunteers for our events as well, but also I can kind of cross promote, and I know we've been doing it with the social committee as well. There are, National Honor Society out there, they need volunteer hours, and so this is just where communication comes in and having somebody kind of stay on top of it. We've got a lot of great kids in this neighborhood. That sometimes they're only here for the summer because they're out or whatever the case is, but it's just communication. People want to help, they just don't know about it. So as long as we're communicating with the neighborhood and fostering those relationships, not just when we need something, but just all the time, then people will be more apt to help us.
I think it would be really great if our parents would encourage our kids to volunteer. They work, parents work, pay the bills, right? The kids are able to enjoy the facilities we have the most. I think most parents come in here and we're like, man, we're tired, gotta fix food, get the kids ready for bed, and then we crash. So the idea of having other kids maybe help out, maybe form a committee, maybe the HOA board can come up with a reimbursement of some sort. I do agree, and I've helped actually some students before to get volunteer hours. But maybe we could have a $5 gift certificate, maybe something like that, where it couldn't pull people out into the community to help do more volunteering.
Okay. All right, this next question is for Tracy first, and it's from Heidi Cox. Do you agree with the CC&R amendments? Do you see these amendments as all or none vote?
Okay, as far as do I agree with all the CC&R changes that are coming up? I don't necessarily, I disagree with them. I do see some value in place, and it's not an all or none. Each one is individual.
In regards to the CC&Rs, there's going to be changes with CC&Rs going forward. Previously, that's happened before. I think the main concern that everybody had this go around was the lack of communication on the CC&Rs going forward. We've had a change in management companies. We had a change in lawyers. So we're getting in the rhythm now of how we're going forward with CC&Rs. Do I agree with every single CC&R that is possibly changing? No. But isn't it all or nothing? No. There might be some stuff in there that we really have to do, only for the simple fact that the laws have changed. So all or nothing, no. But I would disagree with the fact that how they were put out. We had the question previously, or we had a meeting previously about the CC&Rs, and we all got the email 1 minute before the doors open. And that's unfortunate, and that's the communication that we talked about previously. We have to get it out to everybody. While we weren't voting on CC&Rs at that meeting, everybody felt as if they were not being communicated with. They're not being heard, and it feels as if they're being lied to or something's being hidden. That's why our community was so upset about it. And you've got to hear that, because otherwise they're not going to trust you going forward. Thank you.
I agree. With the CC&R changes, it felt like there was something way bigger coming than actually came, because there was a lot of speculation and not enough communication about what was actually trying to be changed. On individual ones themselves, there's always going to be something that not everybody agrees with, and myself included. But like we said, some have to be changed because laws are being changed across the board, and the state laws, there's nothing we can do about that. But I would also agree that we need broader communication when it comes to something like that, especially CC&R, since they are our law. We need a little bit more communication and a lot more notice.
Ditto to everything. Definitely, yes, can they be individually agreed to? Absolutely. they still should be evaluated with more time than what we've been provided this last go round. At least we know what they are. They've been provided. Now it's our responsibility as residents between now and March 27th to get out there, review them, make your decisions. Just know that next year, hopefully, we can have it in a better, appropriate time frame, so we have more time to discuss. I do want to just say that, for example, we need to have clear definitions, such as with the school spirit, and professional team flags. The reason why is, in my opinion, they're too vague. We should not be okay with definitions that are possibly, we should not be okay with the possibility of offensive derogatory statements or decals or designs in our neighborhood. Thank you.
As far as the CCNRs, I think, I agree that I didn't have enough information about it to know what they really got into. I think we, as a board, can make that a lot better. The communication is a lot better, and yes, the communication should have to be better. There's some that you don't totally agree with, but again, that's a communication thing, and it needs to, I think, be put out there a little quicker, and we'd have more input to it.
All right. The next question goes to Matthew. Please tell us Vicki Pine. Please tell us all the neighborhood events that you have attended this year. What was your favorite?
It sounds like this is a repeat question. Well, my favorite was coffee with the board because I got a bunch of coffee. Got no coffee, I got a drip of coffee. I've been traveling a lot last year, and I haven't been able to go to a lot of the events that have been reset. My most favorite event that I went to was the 4th of July, just this past year, because we had an opportunity to see the fireworks and see people coming together and be patriotic. And when you go to these events, you see the community come together. Everybody's happy. Everybody's having a good time. The board's there. I see every board member at the fireworks passing out a flag, passing out the glow necklaces and all that stuff, having fun with the kids, passing out water. And that's what it's about as a community. Seeing these events and seeing everybody come together as one community. Thank you.
Does that want to do?
I want to say that I've been to, as far as the social things, the social events, I've been to almost every single one of them. I didn't make it to the Fall Fest because there was a conflict of interest with the PTA event. But my favorite one also is the 4th of July one, just because that's my favorite holiday. So it was one of the only holidays growing up that, it wasn't about presents, it wasn't about, what somebody was giving you or you were getting. It was just all about coming together as a country and just freedom. So, and it's always beautiful. And just seeing all the kiddos just looking up at the sky like, that has to be by far my most favorite event. Even my husband, he's like, this is why we pay dues. Because he's very, very, very thrifty. But he's like, this is why, because it's just an amazing, spectacular event that brings families together with no ulterior motives. It's not because we're gonna get anything for it. It's just we're being together as neighbors and family, really.
I think the question was, believe it or not, I think I might remember the question, that you were saying it was this year. So if it's this year, the last, 2.5, almost, 3 months, I wanted to attend the, gosh darn it, what was it called?
Remember the question, but not the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Casino night, sorry. I am tired. My mouth is tired, sorry. The casino night, I had another event that I couldn't get to. I do look forward to attending the 55 Up Disco Night. I think that's going to be lots of fun. Again, yes, the July 4th events, all of it. Going out and celebrating everybody that's in the parade. And then, again, love fireworks. just so happens my birthday is July 2nd, so I'd like to think that, everybody is supporting my birthday on July 4th.
Yes, mine is July 4th. It's my favorite holiday. So, I like to attend that. I like to see the fireworks, and I think that is one event that brings the whole community together to see all of that and have fun, and we can get together and enjoy things.
Okay, I'm gonna tell.
I can't remember where we started.
I'll tailgate on that. It's between the 4th of July event or Independence Day event, but also it was the Taylor Swift tribute concert and the movie in the park. I loved seeing the kids out there dancing, having fun, parents involved. I enjoyed doing face painting on the kids. I had my granddaughter helping as well. It was fun just seeing the community get together. No particular reason, but to watch a movie and listen to a tribute. And it wasn't a super expensive
Okay, so my understanding is there's some questions in here that we're just not going to be able to answer. And I don't want anybody to think that they're being censored, but because they're of a legal nature or because there's more directed towards the existing board, it's difficult for these folks to answer. You're just going to be able to say, I wouldn't do this or I would do that. If you guys want to take those questions, whoever asked them, we have town halls last week where a lot of those questions, I think 30, 40 minutes of it, I just kept going back and letting people ask questions about the CCNRs. I'm pretty open. I've seen some messages that sent, because I'm not on I Love Savannah anymore, about the board is being led by the nose, by the management company. Come question me that. Ask Laura, ask Tracy, wherever you are, Tony. Well, I'm just like, I'm reversing. Wherever we can answer, I think those of you that have been here before know that we're answering these questions. And yeah, I sure do look over at Becca sometimes, because it's better to me, I'm not calling you out, Matthew, but I'm saying, coffee with the board to me is better when we can ask a question and have it answered. It usually is informal. It's just like, hey, I'm tired of the way I'm getting weed letters from compliance or something like that. And David used to say, raise your hand if you think we do too much for compliance. Raise your hand if you think we do too little. It's stuff like that. It's the informal. For 5 or 6 months, we've been handling the budget. And sorry, we are not all budget experts on this board. I did not get on the board to budget. I'm going to keep talking, guys. I got on because I think that I can help do things. So that's my expertise. And I don't think I can talk very well, but I am currently in the position of having to talk. So I'll answer y'all's questions to the point that I can. And when it comes to legal, or when it just comes to an attack on the board, leave that for the people that can answer it. Okay? Is that fair? Mm-hmm. And if not, attack me. So I think we're just good on time, so.
Closing remarks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we were still going to do that. Good. Okay. So first is Tracy.
No, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You can read 3 minutes.
Yeah.
No 3 minutes. No 3 minutes.
Ron wants a minute and a half.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been a long night and a lot of questions about where I stand, budget, and things along those lines. But I just want you to realize I don't do this this isn't a popularity contest. And I don't do this because I get accolades. I don't do this for the fame. There's a lot of pain involved with it, a lot of hours, and a lot of effort put in there. My poor husband, at times he's like, are you gonna put the phone down? Are you gonna stop looking at email? My kids are used to seeing me, is she looking at board stuff again? I do this because the community, because I believe I can make a difference in the community. There's nothing more to it. I love Savannah. I moved to Savannah to raise my children. I think I can make a difference.
We're going backwards.
Yes, and in my In my experience working with companies, I've had to make some very good decisions and help companies, and we did some great things, sold a couple of companies. But I've had to make some very bad decisions, or some decisions that made people unhappy. And you have to do that when you're in a business or when you're doing this. It's just going to happen. So you have to have the intestinal fortitude to do those decisions. By the same token, I think if you're going to make the not so popular decisions, you have to be forthcoming with everything and let people know what's going on and why you did it and so forth. And I think that's going to help the community. I like the community. We don't intend to move anywhere else. And I want to see the community to keep on growing and get better and better. And I think we can do that. And I think we just, again, I want to see more people come to the meetings and so on. I want more opinions and to do everything the way it should be done by looking at the budgets and taking everything as we possibly can into consideration and being as forthcoming with any of the results as possible. So I want to help. That's why I'm here, and that's what I'm going to do. If I can use some of my experience to help, I think that's the best thing I can do around here. This is my volunteering effort, okay? Thank you.
Agreed. I have a heart of worship. I have a heart of being there and taking care of and being there for people, my friends, my neighbors, my family. I realize that this is very much a busy job, as Tracy is saying, that's a lot of time spent away from your family. I have time to do it, and I pray that I would be the best at it. I want to be able to make sure that rein in my attitude sometimes. I can have an attitude. I'm a redhead, at least initially. I get blonder and more white as I grow old. So, but to have respect for each other on the board and have respect for our community as a whole. And can't we all just get along?
First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who's still here. We appreciate you guys for hanging in. As far as why I want to be on the board and hoping that you consider me and I value you, I'm doing this for pure reasons. Like I said, this is where I'm raising my little boy. This is where I'm seeing my friends raise their kids. This is where I'm seeing people retire. This is where I'm seeing people lose their kids to empty nesters and they need their neighborhood because they're sad. I don't have any other agenda. I'm purely here to represent voices that are not being heard currently. I'm not using this as a political platform. I'm not gonna run for a public office. I'm here as a mom. I'm here as a neighbor, and I'm here as an objective voice for everybody. Thank you.
So thank you everybody for coming out tonight, and I hope you do pass the word about every single one of us and some of the thoughts that you do have, and I'm sure Brandon will have that video up on YouTube and sent out to the masses in no time.
March 28th.
I'm sorry?
March 28th.
March 28th. All right, so it'll be out 1 minute before the voting. No, I'm just kidding. After, okay. So look for that coming to a near future. I leave you tonight with an idea of hope going forward within the community. There's been a lot of division and divisiveness on the internet. We don't need that stuff. We're all up here trying to run for a board seat to represent the community as a whole. Again, this is an apolitical position. We need to support the community as a whole. One of the thoughts I actually had, seeing that next year is our 250th anniversary of our country, is let's have a battle of the villages. And even if I don't win, I hope you guys do have a battle of the villages. That won't divide us at all, but it'll come into play where everybody's like, hey, maybe it'll bring more people to the table. The outreach out to the community. Let's put that in there. Let's get everybody together and work together as a community, as one whole community, instead of just a little bit of people here, a little bit of people there, and get those thoughts, get the communication out. I hope that everybody understands where I'm coming from on some of this communication and transparency that I keep talking about. I want to be the voice for those in the community. I want us to work well with our partners in the management company. All partners within our community should be working together for the common good. I thank you again for coming out tonight. I thank my wife for supporting me in this venture. I thank my daughter for staying up super late. You gotta go to bed. You've got school in the morning.
No, I don't.
Do you have homework?
Yes.
We got math homework probably tonight, so
Yes.
I'm gonna go home and do math homework. So thank you again, everybody, for coming out. I do appreciate it. Thank you for Grand Manners for moderating and everybody else. I've seen a couple of other board members here, so thank you. Have a good evening.
So I want to thank all of you guys. And then before this meet and greet started, an email was sent out. If you don't get our email blast, let me know and we'll make sure we get you on the list. But voting does open online tomorrow at 9 a.m. And if we have your email, you will get an email at 9 a.m. in the morning. Yes, Mike? No, it says you have to choose two. One vote per house, but it does say you have to choose two.
Oh, so people
Okay.
can't skip a vote?
It's all in one, all 5 people, choose 2 people.
I just want to do it right.
Thank you guys so much for coming out.